Hey guys, welcome back. Retro Movie Palace here, The Running Man. My name is Gert. I'm not the running man. Arnold Schwarzenegger is. Great movie. 10 facts you may or may not know about The Running Man.
Casting changes, extensive script revisions, and directorial shifts marked the production of The Running Man. Producer George Linder's decision to replace Christopher Reeve with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the lead character led to significant alterations in the film's tone and setting. The adaptation of Stephen King's novel underwent multiple script rewrites, influenced by various stakeholders' creative suggestions. Directorial changes saw several directors come and go before Paul Michael Glaser took the helm. Despite Schwarzenegger's criticism of Glaser's approach, The Running Man failed to match the box office success of Schwarzenegger's previous films. However, its impact on pop culture endured, inspiring TV shows like Gladiators and video games like Smash TV. From its casting challenges to its enduring influence, The Running Man remains a fascinating chapter in cinematic history. Number 1. Casting changes and evolution of The Running Man. As producer, George Linder had the final say on the headline cast for The Running Man, and he was not a fan of Christopher Reeve's story concepts or portrayal ideas for the protagonist, leading him to veto Reeve's casting before filming began. Instead, Linder brought in fellow Austrian Arnold Schwarzenegger to play the lead character, Ben Richards. Linder aimed to highlight the parallels between the movie's futuristic world and World War II, a theme that attracted him to the story, and even introduced Schwarzenegger to his father, Bert, a Holocaust survivor. Consequently, filming was postponed again for another screenplay rewrite, and production was moved from Canada to California at Schwarzenegger's request. Number 2. Extensive script revisions for The Running Man. Screenwriter Stephen E. D'Souza said that he created 15 drafts of the script for The Running Man before production began. This extensive revision process was influenced by various creative suggestions from producer George Linder, actor Christopher Reeve, who was initially cast, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who eventually took the lead role, and the numerous directors who were brought in and out of the project. Each stakeholder had different visions and ideas for the film, contributing to the numerous script changes. Number 3. Directorial changes in The Running Man. George Linder was not only hands-on with casting for The Running Man, but also very opinionated about the director. Initially, George P. Cosmatos, fresh off the success of Rambo: First Blood Part 2, was set to direct, but he was fired over creative differences with Linder shortly after Reeve was let go at the start of 1986. Several other directors were considered, including German director Karl Schenkel and British director Ferdinand Fairfax, who even got as far as the storyboard stage and oversaw another script draft before being dismissed. Andrew Davis, known for the 1985 Chuck Norris action thriller Code of Silence, was then signed on, but he was fired less than 2 weeks after principal photography began on September 29, 1986. Subsequently, Paul Michael Glaser, best known as Det David Starsky, was hired. Glaser had never directed a big-budget movie before, making this a significant gamble given the credentials of the directors who had been let go. Number 4. From novel to film adaptation. Released in U.S. cinemas on November 13, 1987, The Running Man film is based on a 1982 science fiction novel by Richard Bachman, a pseudonym of Stephen King. First-time producer George Linder, a self-made millionaire known for selling high-tech, lightweight wheelchairs through his Quadra Medical Corporation, fell in love with the book and quickly optioned it for a movie. He paid $20,000 to option the film and $100,000 for the movie rights, despite being advised to pass on the deal due to the high costs for an unknown author. Linder's initial screenplay stayed true to the novel, which follows protagonist Ben Richards in a deadly game show set in 2025, where contestants must evade hunters trying to kill them, earning money for each hour they survive, and for each hunter or law enforcement officer they kill, with a grand prize of $1 billion for surviving 30 days. Linder struggled to gain momentum for his adaptation due to his inexperience and the novel's obscurity. However, the project's fortunes changed dramatically in 1985 when it was revealed that Richard Bachman was actually Stephen King, one of the most famous authors of the time, instantly making The Running Man one of the hottest projects in Hollywood. Number 5. Richard Dawson as Damon Killian. Richard Dawson was cast as the evil game show host Damon Killian in The Running Man. Although he was a well-known actor for his role as Corporal Peter Newkirk in Hogan's Heroes, Dawson was primarily chosen for his experience as the original host of Family Feud from 1976 to 1985, a role he reprised from 1994 to 1995. After the film's release, many people who worked with Dawson noted that his real-life persona was quite similar to that of Damon Killian, both in his on-screen presence and behind the scenes. Number 6. Notable cameos in The Running Man. The Running Man features several notable cameos. Jesse Ventura, a wrestler-turned-actor-turned-politician, plays Captain Freedom, while Sven Ole Thorsen plays Sven. Both actors previously co-starred with Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator. Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac plays a futuristic, exaggerated version of himself as Resistance Commander Mick. Number 7. The Running Man's influence on pop culture. Although The Running Man may not have been as commercially successful as Schwarzenegger hoped, its impact on popular culture was significant. The film heavily inspired the successful TV franchise Gladiators, which debuted in 1989 with American Gladiators before expanding to other territories. In 1989, The Running Man received its video game adaptation, a side-scrolling beat-em-up. However, maybe its most significant influence was on Williams' 1990 arcade game Smash TV. Number 8. Casting and adaptation changes for The Running Man. Shortly after it was proven that Stephen King was the author of the Richard Bachman novels, a contract was negotiated with TriStar Columbia for the film adaptation of The Running Man, with Christopher Reeve cast as Benjamin Richards. Initially, shooting was scheduled to begin in September 1985. Still, it was postponed when Stephen E. D'Souza was brought in to draft a new screenplay to contain the action to a single location instead of a global chase, likely for budgetary reasons. D'Souza's script retained much of the source material, with Reeves' character being an unemployed man who participates in the violent game show to feed his family. The new version of the game show was set within a games arena, which was initially envisioned as an old adapted shopping mall. Production was planned to begin in January 1986 at the West Edmonton Mall in Alberta, Canada. Number 9. Paula Abdul's contribution to The Running Man. Paula Abdul choreographed the pre-show dance sequences in The Running Man. Although she was already an established music video choreographer, having worked with artists like Janet Jackson and Duran Duran, this film marked only her second movie credit and her largest production to date. The music for the pre-show dance sequence was composed by Jackie Jackson, a founding member of the Jackson 5, and was dubbed Paula's theme in her honor. Number 10. The Running Man's reception and Schwarzenegger's criticism. When The Running Man premiered on November 13, 1987, it failed to match the box office success of Arnold Schwarzenegger's previous films. Despite having a budget of $27 million, the film only grossed $38 million. In contrast, Schwarzenegger's earlier films like Predator, Commando, and The Terminator had significantly higher earnings relative to their budgets. Schwarzenegger openly criticized the film's director, Paul Michael Glaser, attributing the lackluster performance to what he perceived as Glaser's shortcomings. He accused Glaser of shooting the movie like a television show, which, according to Schwarzenegger, resulted in the loss of deeper themes and ultimately hurt the production. So that's all for today's video. If you like it, click the like and bell buttons. We'll have another video for you soon. Take care until then.